Hi everyone, this is Selena. I hope you're well. Welcome back to one of my videos. If you're new to my channel, my name's Selena and I release a crochet tutorial every week. So this week I'm bringing to you this absolutely lovely wrap, and I absolutely love it. I called it the Café des Arts wrap, obviously because it really reminded me of a Parisian stylish wrap that you would wear in the cafe in the autumn or any season really, but I absolutely was inspired by this yarn to create this wrap. And so this wrap is a triangular shape. Again, all the pictures and the free pattern will be on my blog, selenaveronique.com. I will be linking that in the description bar along with all the details to make this project. And so I made it with tassels, so it features 3 beautiful tassels on the V of the shawl, and it's a very easy project. So it features some filet crochet rows, and it's absolutely really beginner friendly. It also features a chain arc edging, so yes, it's really fun to make and it's absolutely stunning. So I'm just going to jump into this tutorial now. The measurements and every single detail about this project will be on my blog, selenaveronique.com, and the link will be in the down bar. So to make this project, I used 4 skeins of Caron Cotton Cakes, and this is really a delight to work with. And so I used 4 skeins in shade Maritime, and it's a medium 4 yarn, and I used a 5mm crochet hook to crochet this wrap with. I also used a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and a piece of cotton that I made. So again, I will have the dimensions on my blog to create the tassels. So yes, so it's a very old school. So yeah, it's really easy to make, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I will be using US terms with British terms in brackets. Okay, so to begin this pattern, I will be showing you how to make these first few rows, and it's a very simple repeat pattern, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you what to do. So to begin this pattern, you are going to be making a slip knot, so just go ahead and make your slip knot, pop your hook through and tighten. And now you are going to be chaining 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Once you've chained 4, you are going to be slip stitching through that first chain to close this chain 4, and we will be working into this center. So for the first round, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and this counts as our first double crochet. And what we will be doing is placing another 5 double crochets into the center so that we have 6 double crochets total. So wrap your yarn around your hook and go inside this center, pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Go through 2 loops and then go through 2 loops, and that creates your double crochet. And because this counts as a double crochet, the chain 3, that will create 6 double crochets total. Now just go ahead and place the rest of your double crochets, and as you can see, I am working in my loose end as I am going along. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so 6. So that creates 6 double crochets total. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and place another 6 double crochets within this center. So just go ahead and place another 6. So 1, 2. So here we go. I finished my first round, and as you can see, I've got 6 double crochets on this side, a chain 2, and then 6 double crochets on this side. So for round 2, we are going to be chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3. Turn your work, so this is what it looks like, and this counts as our first double crochet. And because we are going to be increasing in this first stitch, so this first double crochet goes with this stitch here. However, we are going to be placing another double crochet into this stitch, because this is how we are going to be increasing our rows from row to row, if that makes sense. So usually we would simply go into the next stitch and then the next stitch, but because we are increasing, we are going to go back into that same first stitch right here and placing another double crochet into this. So that's 2 double crochets together in one stitch, and now we are simply going to be placing just 1 double crochet into each stitch across until we reach the chain 2. So just go ahead and place a double crochet into each double crochet from the previous row, like so. And now we are going to be going into the center chain 2 and placing 2 double crochets into that. So 1 and 2, and again this creates our increase from row to row. We are going to be chaining 2, 1 and 2, and we are going back into that center with 2 more double crochets like this. And now we are going to be going into each and every stitch across, placing a double crochet into those. So just go ahead and place a double crochet, and I'll show you how to finish off this row. So I've almost finished. I've just got the last chain 3 from the previous row that counts as a double crochet, and into that chain 3 we are going to be placing 2 double crochets together, because this counts as a double crochet and we need to increase on each side of this project. So we started with 2 double crochets together, placed a double crochet into each stitch, then 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then a double crochet on this side, and we finished with 2 double crochets together on the other side. So now we are going to be creating the filet crochet space row. So this is what it's going to be like. 2 full rows, 1 and 2, and then the third row will be filet crochet row where there will be spaces in. So for this row, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Turn your work, and this is what it looks like. And this chain 3 counts as your first double crochet and chain 1 space. And because we should be increasing usually into each and every first stitch to increase this row, we are simply going to count the chain 3 as a double crochet and this is a chain space, and go into the second stitch with a double crochet. So what this means, it's going to make more sense once you see it. It means that we've created 2 stitches in that first stitch here. I hope this is making sense, because obviously we want to increase with 2 stitches on every row when we begin, and the chain 4 counts as a double crochet and chain space, and so that equals 2 stitches. So we have just simply gone into the second stitch here with a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next stitch with a double crochet. This is what it looks like. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next stitch with a double crochet. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next with a double crochet, and skip a stitch. No, chain 1, skip a stitch, and now we are going to go directly into the chain 2 space from the previous row, and here we are simply going to be placing 2 double crochets in this space. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and place another 2 double crochets inside this space, and this is what it looks like. So now we are going to be doing the exact same thing on the other side. So chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next with a double crochet. And what we have left is a chain 3 from the previous row, and because we are supposed to increase in this last stitch, we are going to chain 1, and we can't skip a stitch obviously because there's only 1 chain 3 left, but we need 2 stitches in that, so that's great. And we are simply going to finish off with a double crochet in this stitch, and this is what is going to create our increases for this row 3, if that makes sense. So the chain 1 and the double crochet count as 2 stitches. So I hope this is making sense. Don't forget to check out the free pattern on my blog, because it's very helpful to follow the written pattern as well as the tutorial. Okay, so for the next row, we are simply going to be doing 2 rows of full rows, if that makes sense. So chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, turn your work, and as always we need to place another double crochet to increase inside that first stitch. So just go ahead and place another double crochet, because this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. And now just go into the next double crochet from the previous row and place a double crochet into that. Go into the next stitch, which was a chain 1 space, and place a double crochet into that. Go into the next double crochet and place a double crochet into that. And then go into the chain space and place a double crochet into that, and just carry on placing a double crochet into each and every stitch until you reach the chain 2 space here, and I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I've reached the center. This is what my project looks like, and in the center I will be placing 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and this is what the center looks like. And we're just going to go into each and every stitch on the other side of the project. So just go ahead and place a double crochet on top of all the stitches, including the chain spaces and the double crochets from the previous row, and then I'll show you what to do when you get to the end of this row. So I've almost finished my 4th row, and I've got a chain 4 from the previous row right here, so just go ahead and place a double crochet into the 4th chain because that counted as a stitch. And now we are going to be placing 2 double crochets in the chain 3, so in that 3rd chain. I hope this is making sense. So just go ahead and place 2 double crochets in that chain 3. So this is what you should have, and if it helps, just count the number of stitches on this side and make sure you have the same number on the other side. So now for the next row, we are simply going to be repeating row 2, which is another full row, so nothing special about that. So I'll just let you chain 3, turn your work, place another double crochet inside that first stitch, and then into the next double crochet place a double crochet into that, and just place a double crochet into each stitch. At the chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then go down and finish this row with 2 double crochets in this chain 3. So I'm just going to let you carry on with this row because it's the same as the second row, and then I'll show you how to do the next row. So this is what I have for now, and I've got 18 double crochets on this side and 18 double crochets on that side for now. So for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th row, we are going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn our work, and again we are going to be making a filet crochet row. So just go ahead and chain 4, this counts as a double crochet and chain space. So our increase stitch, so we're going to go directly into the 2nd stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, skip this stitch and go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch and go into the next, chain 1, skip a stitch and go into the next, and I'm just going to let you do that until you reach the center, and I'll show you what to do there. So this is what I have in this this row. The 6th row changes a bit from the 3rd row, so you would think that they would be the same, but they aren't. So yes, so you would think that they are the same, but they do differ slightly just at this section. So instead of like what we did on the 3rd row, going in directly and placing 2 double crochets into the center, because we finished on a double crochet, what we can do is chain 1, and this counts as a stitch, so our increase stitch, and just go ahead and just place 1 double crochet inside this stitch before we chain 2, 1 and 2, go in with 1 stitch. I'll explain everything in 1 second. Chain 1 and go directly into the 1st stitch here. So what's happened is, because of the number of stitches on this row, so this is easy. So because of the number of stitches on this row, what we were able to do is chain 1, this counts as our increase stitch that goes inside this space, double crochet, chain 2 as always, double crochet, chain 1 counts as a stitch for the increase of the 2, chain 2, 2 stitches. I hope this is making sense. It's very easy. And then once that you've done that, just go directly into this 1st stitch, place a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and go into the next. And I'm just briefly going to go back on this, so I hope this is making sense. The reason why it differs slightly from this row here at the end is because of the number of stitches that we have. So basically what's going to happen is we're just going to repeat, so finish this row obviously, and then repeat row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6. And it will always be the same thing. So just repeat the first 6 rows over and over, and that's how the pattern is created. So I hope it makes sense. I know it differs a bit at the top here, but that's just because of the number of stitches that we have. So depending on if it's row 3 or row 6, we finish on a different type of stitch here. So just make sure you look at the free pattern. I hope this makes sense. It's quite easy. Just repeat those rows over and over, and I will be indicating now on my screen how many rows in total I have for my shawl. So just go ahead and repeat your rows until you are satisfied with the size of your shawl, or until you have the exact same amount of rows as me, and then I'll show you how to create the rest of the shawls. This is what it looks like. It's absolutely stunning. I love it. So I also want to point out, before I jump into the chain arc edging tutorial, that I finished on 3 full rows. So you remember that we usually did 2 full rows and then a filet crochet row, but for the end of the project we are going to be finishing on 3 full rows, and this is indicated in the written pattern. So now I'm just going to show you how to do the chain arc edging. So this is my sample. Obviously ignore the number of rows that are on this sample. As I said, we would have finished on 3 full rows, but I have a full row here, so the principle will be the exact same as on your completed project, if that makes sense. So to make the chain arc edging, you are simply going to be chaining 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And this goes with this first stitch here. And so you're going to skip the next stitch, which is the second stitch, and go into the third stitch here, and place a single crochet into that. Now we are going to be chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3, skipping a stitch and going into the next. And now chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip a stitch and go into the next. And so you see it's a very easy pattern. 1, 2, and 3, skip a stitch and go into the next. So just carry on doing this pattern, which is chain 3, skip a stitch and single crochet into the next, until you reach the center, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I've reached the center, as you can see, and so for the center chain 2 space from the previous row, we are simply going to be going in and placing 2 single crochets into that. So 1, and then the second single crochet, and this is what the center looks like. So now that we've done 2 single crochets in that center, we are going to be going into the next stitch on that side and place a single crochet into that stitch, which is a double crochet from the previous row. And now just chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, skip a stitch, go into the next, like so, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, skip a stitch and go into the next, and just carry on doing this until you reach the end of this row, and I'll show you how to finish off. Okay, so I finished this single So this chain arc edging, I'm just going to snip off my yarn and finish off this this pattern by pulling this through the loop and tightening. And now you simply have to sew in this. So I'm just going to pull this in slightly and sew the center in, and then sew in all your loose ends, and I'm just going to show you how to do the tassels. Okay, so for this project we are going to be making 3 quite thick tassels, so I like them nice and thick for this project. So yes, I'm just going to show you what to do. I've already made 2, as you can see, and I am going to be making the 3rd one with you. To make your tassel, you will be needing this piece of cardboard. So this cardboard is about 7.5 inches in the length, and this is what I'm going to use to wrap my yarn around to create the tassel. Just bear in mind that the tassel will be smaller than this length because of when we tie it and also when we trim it. So to begin, you are going to be cutting 2 about 10 inches in length different pieces of yarn. So this is what I have, 2 of these. I'm just going to place them to the side. And now what I am going to be doing is wrapping my yarn around my piece of cardboard. So I'm trying to show you on camera, but it's very easy. Just wrap your yarn round like so, and just wrap it round over and over. And I'm going to create quite a thick tassel, so I'm going to wrap my yarn around a lot of time. So I've wrapped my yarn around a good number of times, so I'm just going to snip my yarn off like so, and this is what I have. I'm just going to gently pull this off, and this is what I have. Obviously just hold it like this. Now you are going to be taking your first piece of yarn that we cut and pop it through like this, so you can lay that down like this. And what I am going to be doing is just tying this, and this will be what we are going to be using to tie the tassel to the project. So I'm just going to go round once again, so I'm just going to go round again. So yeah, bear with me, just because I want to make sure that it's nice and secured. So I'm just going to tie it again with another double knot, like so. Okay, and this is what it looks like. And now we are going to take the second piece of yarn that we had at the beginning, pop it like so. So just gently tidy this up and pop it like this, just so that about 1 inch of the tassel, just about under 1 inch of the beginning of the tassel, and just wrap it round and again tie a knot. So gently do that like this, and I'm going to tie a double knot, and I'm going to go around a couple of times just to give it that secure, nice tassel kind of look, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm just going to go around a couple of more times, and I'm just going to tie this quite securely but not too tight. So I'm just going to tie it like this. Okay, and now I am simply, so some people tidy up those loose ends, but I'm just going to snip off the loose ends like this. Okay, so I found the center, and what we are going to be doing is cutting this just to create the tassel, but then we are going to be trimming it So don't overly worry about this process. So now that I've cut it like this, I am going to cut across quite a bit. Make sure you brush it down, obviously. And I'm just going to cut across just to create an equal, even tassel. So I'm back and I've done obviously my 3 tassels and I've trimmed this one. And what I will be doing is popping a tassel on the bottom of the triangle here on the bottom of the V, one at the top of the V here on this side, and then one on the other side of the V. Obviously the pictures will be on my blog, so just check that out for more details. And to do this, so I'm going to show you the center. So to pop your tassel onto the center, you are simply going to be using a crochet hook, and I'm just going to go right into the center where we popped our chain arc border, and take one of the strands like this, and I'm simply going to tie a knot. So just make sure it's not too tight, just to but make sure it's tight enough to hold the tassel. And I'm just going to pop it through again. So just tie it around with the strands as many times as you feel is secure enough. And then once I finished doing that, what I will be doing is tying it again quite a lot. And once I've done that, I'm simply going to pop my loose ends inside the tassel. So just make sure that you tidy up all your loose ends within the tassel, and just pop all your tassels onto your shawl like so. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.